Hello, this is John McAllister with the McAllister Scouting Report, and tonight it's Coach's Corner. Well, Coach's Corner is a little bit different tonight because my guest is not a coach. She's a college coach's wife, and her son is now in the NFL. Robin Burrow is my guest tonight, and her son is Joe Burrow, and her husband is the former Ohio University assistant football coach Jimmy Burrow. I'm excited to have her on. We're going to talk about her job, about going through the early years with Joe, and going through college with Joe, and all the way through into the NFL now. And she's going to hopefully give you some ideas what he's like and what she has done and behind the scenes, and just her overall feelings about football, uh, the playing in the NFL, and just a lot of different ideas. Excited. Sit back and enjoy my video podcast with Robin Burrow. Welcome, Robin Burrow, mother of Joe Burrow and husband of Jimmy Burrow. And you may be the most important cog in this whole thing.
That's right. The coach's wife and the player's mom makes the world go around, right?
Oh my golly. I totally agree. Tell me, let's talk first of all, Robin, about you're in education, a great field. What do you do in education then?
I am an elementary principal. I've been at Eastern Local down in Meigs County this is my 6th year. And prior to that, I taught at Morrison Gordon here in Athens, 1st grade and 3rd grade. And so I love what I do and look forward to going to work every day. That's for sure.
My goodness, I'm a retired 31-year guy, and I always say first 3 grades are so huge because kids will either get turned off or they're going to come back every day. And we're fortunate we have really good young teachers up here for our kids, our grandkids. So that's really good. What's the toughest thing about being a principal?
Oh my goodness, these last couple of years have been crazy with COVID, that's for sure. And I think the hardest thing in general is really just seeing the hardships that the kids have. And so much of it is out of our control in the school building, and just trying to help them to build perseverance and to build trust and to really try to excel through all of their hardships. I think, that's challenging. And our teachers work so tirelessly every single day to help all of our kids overcome so many adversities, and so proud of our teachers. That's for sure.
My goodness, I totally agree. We were in kind of where I taught in Northwest Ohio was one of the 10% lowest paying school districts in Ohio, teachers wise. Now that was many moons, but I will say one thing: trust is the key.
Yep.
I know all these people, but they got to trust you. Kids have to trust you.
They do. Those relationships that you start building from the second they get on the bus in the morning until they come in and get their breakfast and get greeted at the door by their teachers. And, it's a long and hard row every single day to build that trust with a lot of our students. So it's not something that we take lightly. That's for sure. We're very deliberate about it.
Wow. That's super. Okay. Number 2, college football. You're the coach's wife, very active coach. And tell me, what's it like being a coach's wife?
Well, being a coach's wife is actually quite independent. Um, you
Yeah.
learn how to pretty much do just about everything around the house and around the community by yourself, and still maintain a high level of support and try to help keep you do keep the household
Right.
rolling while people don't really necessarily realize how many hours coaches put in. So
No,
it's
no.
it's crazy.
Oh,
You're pretty much by yourself until 10 o'clock at night every night. And when you have kids, they're running around like crazy and they're just trying to keep your head above water. So
I think it's you do an amazing job, and I think so many people will see coaches on Saturday afternoons and go, "Boy, what a great job that guy has." They think that. They think that. But the
well,
other,
and it is a great job. It's just a very different kind of job than most people understand. That's for
for sure,
sure.
for sure, for sure. Next question: with what advice would you give college football players? What
Oh,
advice?
you know what? My biggest advice for them would be to build relationships with their coaches and teammates.
Okay,
I
good.
mean, like you said before with students, I mean, they have to trust each other. The players have to trust each other to do their individual jobs in order for the team to work correctly.
Right.
And in college, those coaches are watching hours and hours and hours of film that the college players don't have time to watch.
Right.
They're in classes and studying
Right.
and hopefully having a little bit of fun as a college student as well. And so they have to trust their coaches that they've watched all that film and figured it all out. So between trust and respect, I think that's the two words that definitely stand out in my mind.
Almost okay. It almost goes. Excuse me. It almost goes back to kindergarten, first grade, second grade.
It absolutely does. It
Things
absolutely
fly.
does.
Good. Okay. What about being now a Joe's mother? And we'll come back to more questions. But what's that like? What's that like? What's with pro players and what do you see? Let's do it this way, Robin. What do you see at the pro level? What's important for players? You see, well, what do they have to adjust to? What's the first thing that you've seen they've had to adjust to?
Well, I think probably more than anything, and for Joe, this has actually been a great thing, but it's their job now.
Yeah,
And they're putting in a lot of hours and to prepare
right,
for their battle on Sundays. I mean, it's they go to war every single Sunday with a new opponent, and they have to prepare themselves mentally. They have to prepare themselves physically.
right,
They have to take care of their bodies so they can recover quickly. The bodies in the NFL are bigger, stronger, faster than anybody's experienced before they've gotten there. So they have to be so regimented and so
right.
dedicated. And still, again, they still have to trust their teammates and respect everything about the game in order to be successful. So it still goes back to the beginning, but it just keeps building bigger and bigger.
That's so true. Coach Trussell once said to me, we were watching practice at Ohio State, and he said, it's amazing with athletes now, there's no fat. It's all muscle, ligaments, and bone. And he said, it's amazing more people don't get really hurt.
Yeah,
There's
that's true.
no,
And yet at the same time, they're so strong and powerful.
oh,
I mean, the force that they put on each other, but yet at the same time, they're so much stronger and more sturdy,
right,
so they
right.
can withstand that beating. Although a mom still doesn't like to see that beating happening on Sundays.
You probably were a little frustrated in some ways then on last Sunday, right? No, I'm just
Well, we knew that that team was one of the best defenses in the NFL, and we knew it was going to be a huge battle. And
because Fred
um,
wanted these guys going. They had them playing, and
yeah, it was tough to watch, but at the same time, this might be harsh to say, but I've said it before, it's what they sign up for, and they gotta keep pushing through it and hopefully not get hurt. But
for
it,
sure,
it is tough to watch as a mom, that's for sure.
sure. Okay, totally different. What was it like being a midget league or youth league mom when Joe played?
Oh gosh, I loved it so
You
much.
what?
I loved it so much. I wanted to be that team mom that had all the snacks and the drinks and
That's
had the
good.
Band-Aids in my bag in case anybody wanted one or needed one, and ice packs, and I wanted to be all that. But every mom does, I think. And we definitely had a lot of fun with Joe's little football teams, baseball teams, basketball teams, all of it. We gained a lot of great friends through all of his athletic teams.
For sure. That's one thing. You have that little group, and hopefully y'all sit near each other instead of sitting in all parts of the stadium or something like that. That's
Well,
really
now we don't get to sit together anymore, but boy, we had our little posse for sure while we were all growing up, and we looked out for each other. That's for sure.
that's, that's for real.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about high school then. What what was it like being a high school mom?
Gosh, so Joe, he was able to start in football his sophomore year. So that year, well, and also when he started basketball his freshman year, those years were a little bit, uh, I guess a little bit anxious because, Joe was younger. We didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings or yeah, rock the boat, I guess, to say, be disrespectful to anybody. But at the same time, I was, very supportive and tried to do everything I could without stepping on anybody's toes, but to
I,
still help the team, and
uh,
um, we were very, very lucky that we stayed here in Athens. Even though Jimmy was a college coach, we were able to stay here in Athens throughout Joe's elementary, middle school, high school years. So all of our friends were still the same, and those relationships just built. And as Joe was able to play with some of the older kids, then our friendship group grew, and they're still all of those people are still some of our closest friends. So we've been very lucky that it all has worked out.
and I would be guessing that you and Jimmy treasure those friends and
Oh,
keep, my goodness. And
yeah.
that's such a, you know, how can I word that? That's such a quality to have, especially in your situation.
Yeah, we are very lucky to be able to have had friends from the time Joe was 8 years old. And I mean, all of those people still come to games. I mean, a lot of them went to LSU games, even traveled down there. And a lot of them were Bengals fans anyway. So, and had tickets and were going to games. So, they're now all at our tailgate, even, at the Bengals games. And, uh, you know, that those are true friends because they were friends before any of the crazy hype ever started. So
And let's flip that, and you guys have to be pretty true friends. I mean, you're talking about, one game away from a Super Bowl. You're talking about a national champ. And let's be honest now. Okay, that speaks well for you and Jimmy now. And
well,
I know. Okay, we'll go on to something else, but I'm just telling you that. I mean,
thank you. I appreciate that. We are, we're very appreciative for very true friends and who want the best for Joe and for our family, and we want the best for our friends as well.
okay. And I may have been the first person to ever, on paper, cut Joe down because I saw you guys play a game. And I had a website then, and in fact, I think I apologized to Jimmy, but Joe was really upset on the sidelines and yelling at guys and all this other stuff, and I had to get a jab in my article about that. But so I may be history here. Okay, let's go with what you can say. Now let's go to college. How, that's totally different. But what would you say you learned from Ohio State? Is that a fair question? I don't want.
Yeah.
It's the stuff's all. I know more than a lot of people, but what would you say you learned from Ohio State? And Joe learned.
I think that 100% that I learned, and I think that, being a coach's wife and having been pretty intimate in that
Right.
arena, not at Ohio State level necessarily,
Yeah.
but, it's all very similar. I think, we had a pretty good insight on what it could be and what it might be and what it might really be. There are lots of different things that can happen. I think for me, the biggest thing that I learned is that when your son goes away to college or your child goes away to college, they still need that unconditional support and love, no matter no matter what, no matter whether they're succeeding or not.
Right.
And um, doing everything that I could to show that to Joe in any way that I could, whether it's just through shooting a text message or making a trip to Columbus a couple times a week just to see his face and make sure everything was looking all like everything was actually okay. It is worrisome. You hear horror stories of some kids that just can't handle it, and you don't want your kid to be that kid. So,
Right.
um,
That's good.
just being present in the moment, even when you're not there.
Okay, now let's go to the transfer to LSU. Now, I saw you guys on TV all the time at those LSU games, sitting up in the bleach or stands way up and stuff. And
Yeah, we were there.
yeah, I know. How was that now instead of an hour drive or whatever you got, hour and 20 minutes from Athens to Columbus? Now you a little different. So how did that change?
Yeah, that was a lot different. I got a lot of frequent flyer miles, that's for sure.
Oh, I don't think I knew about this. No.
Well, you got to fly all the way to New Orleans, so
Pep him up a little bit.
flying out Friday nights and back on Sundays and back to work on Monday morning. It was a grind, but I wouldn't have missed it for the world. That's for sure.
My golly, my goodness. Okay, draft night. What was it like for you?
Oh man, the draft. We were so excited because it was going to be in Vegas and it was going to be so big and flashy, and we were so excited for Joe to get to celebrate in that way after such a wonderful season. But then COVID hit, and we're literally sitting in our living room on our couch over here. But I think that we were, as Joe and Jimmy and I and just a couple of other people here in the house. And it was actually quite nice to be able to celebrate with an intimate group who you could really appreciate the whole long ride with. So it was very nice and just so amazing that he was able to go number one after the long and winding road that he had. That's for sure.
Right. Oh my goodness. I think it's super. Okay. Now at the pro level, what does mom go through? At the NFL level.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely more nervous. And I think that's because of, like we talked about earlier, the guys are just so big and fast and strong. And so I get more nervous about him getting hurt. And I think that but it's also very different because at the college level, you have kind of a little fraternity of people you really kind of get to know intimately.
Right.
A whole new expansion of your high school group of friends. It's
Right.
still collegiate, very, very, very big fans, and it's just so energetic. The college level, or I'm sorry, the NFL level is a whole different story. You've got a whole stadium full of people who, especially at the away games, golly,
Wow.
it's a whole different kind of welcoming when you go to an away stadium and people are yelling obscenities, and they're not necessarily in love
Oh,
with
I,
your kid. Now, we have not had a lot of bad experiences, thankfully, because generally speaking, people are pretty positive about Joe, but we have had some pretty interesting experiences, that's for sure. And you just got to take it with a grain of salt and sit down and try to ignore it.
and
So.
know who you are.
Yeah.
And know who you are, and what everybody's accomplished, all three of you. Tell me one. Okay, you say that. What did you say to the guy last Sunday that yelled up he couldn't play at Ohio State? What did you say to him?
I didn't say anything to him. I just turned
What
around and sat down and shook my head.
Jimmy told me about that he heard that, and then everybody turned around and looked. So that's why I was joking with you.
Yeah, he but that's part of it. That's what's out there, and it's okay. We don't need anybody else's approval.
No, it's totally true. Okay, just a few more questions. I really appreciate this. What are some of, from a mom's perspective, what are some of Joe's weakness or strengths?
Strengths.
Three. Give me three.
He's very focused.
Okay, that's evident.
Very, very laid back.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except on the football field. Otherwise, he is as laid back as it gets.
He gets that from his dad, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I'm joking.
So, focus, laid back, and I guess I would say he has exceptionally high expectations of himself.
Highly driven,
Highly driven,
motivated. Yeah, that's so true. I heard that his worst loss, one of his worst losses, was the state championship game his senior year. That
Absolutely.
was, he said that was the worst feeling he had.
Yeah.
And in that game, I'm getting off the subject. I'm there. In that game, I knew that's what Toledo Central Catholic would do. They were just going to, he would get hammered, throw a touchdown, they'd come back, and he just kept coming back and coming back.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm recruiting, of course I'm prejudiced, but if I'm recruiting somebody, I say, I got to have that quarterback. Not only can he throw, but he's a fighter. He's a tough guy. And that's huge. But no, those three things. Okay, now I was off the subject. Sorry. What would be three weaknesses that he would have that he really needs to improve on?
That's a good question, John.
Well,
I would say
I'm just a rookie at this stuff, man.
I would say he probably, golly, weaknesses.
How about just one? No, something he has to work on to improve. Let's use a different connotation of weakness there. Okay. How about one?
he could probably work to improve his I don't know, he's really organized.
How about his sometimes learn to control his emotions more? That would be one. But
not for me, no.
Okay.
He's even keel.
Okay, good. Okay.
I think that he probably, and you wouldn't even, in general, in the media, you wouldn't necessarily know it because it's a great communicator with the media.
Right.
But as far as like his private, personal
Right.
life, he's very quiet and reserved. So I guess I would probably say he could work on becoming a little bit more communicative.
Okay. Okay. That sounds really good. Good. From a principal in an elementary school. That's good. I'm a teacher, an English teacher, by the way. Junior high, I was born to be a junior high teacher. How bad am I?
Oh my goodness. I don't think I could do junior high.
Oh, I love junior high. Born. Oh my golly. Okay, for now, one more thing. How about fans? Give me your opinion of fans without getting in trouble. And this is my last question. How
You
about
know, Generally speaking, we have had such a great experience every place that we've gone. I mean, there have been a couple things here and there that I forget where we were, maybe in Pittsburgh, and somebody drove by and said, "We're going to break both of Joe's legs today." Things like that. But for the most part, people are so supportive.
yeah,
And it's so unbelievable to go into, especially at Bengal Stadium and even Paul Brown Stadium, and even at away games, to see so many people in Joe's jerseys. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So the support is overwhelming, and we appreciate it so much.
that's really good. Okay, well, I really appreciate you coming on. I will tell you this, Robin. Now, I'm telling you the truth. You have the best of many worlds. Okay, first of all, education, teacher. What a great profession. I, mean,
Absolutely.
I think I spent 31 years there, and that was long enough, but I still had fun. And good. And the other thing is being around sports and being able to follow your son and to bring your husband along with you. That's really, really good. And so you've got the best of many worlds, and you still live down in Athens, don't you? You still live down there?
Yeah, we still live in the house that Joe grew up in, and we don't have any plans to move. So we love
Uh-huh.
it here and hope that we can continue to bring great things to the Southeast Ohio and that Joe can continue to be successful.
I appreciate you being on. Thank you so much. Okay.
Absolutely. Good to see you.